What would you do if life kept pushing you down so hard that even breathing started to feel like a burden? What would you do if every door you knocked on slammed shut in your face? Not once, not twice, but every single time. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay till the very end, because this story might not just inspire you, it might change the way you see your own life forever. This is not a story about talent. It's not even a story about luck. This is a story about something far more powerful, the decision to never give up, even when everything around you is falling apart. 6. Ethan Carter was born into a world that never planned for his success. His neighborhood was a place where broken dreams outnumbered opportunities, where people learned to survive long before they ever had the chance to live. His home was small, barely holding together under the weight of unpaid bills and silent struggles. His mother worked endlessly, taking whatever job she could find, while his father had long disappeared, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions. There were nights when Ethan went to bed hungry, listening to his stomach echo in the silence. But hunger wasn't the hardest part. It was the feeling that life had already decided who he would become, and it wasn't anything great. Growing up, Ethan quickly realized that nothing would come easy. School was not a place of hope, but another reminder of how far behind he was. His clothes were worn, his confidence fragile, and his mind constantly distracted by the weight of his reality. After school, while others rested, Ethan worked. He carried boxes, washed cars, and sometimes stood on street corners selling whatever he could just to bring home a few dollars. People passed by without noticing him, as if he didn't exist. But deep inside, there was something different about Ethan. While others accepted their situation, he questioned it. Is this really all my life is going to be? He would ask himself quietly, over and over again. One evening, everything changed in a way he didn't expect. As he walked home exhausted, he passed by a building filled with bright lights and confident voices. Inside, he saw people presenting ideas, speaking with certainty, and being respected. It was a world so far from his own that it almost didn't feel real. He stood there for a long time, watching through the glass, imagining what it would feel like to be on the other side. That moment stayed with him. It became the spark that lit something inside his chest. For the first time, Ethan didn't just want to survive. He wanted to become something more. He didn't know how, but he knew one thing. He couldn't stay where he was forever. With no guidance and no resources, Ethan began teaching himself. He spent hours at public libraries, reading anything he could get his hands on. He watched free tutorials online whenever he had access to a computer. He wrote down ideas in a small notebook that quickly became his most valuable possession. But dreams are easy to start and hard to sustain. His first attempt to change his life came when he applied for a small opportunity he barely qualified for. He walked in with hope and walked out with rejection. "You're not ready," they told him. That rejection hurt more than he expected. It wasn't just about the opportunity, it was about what it represented. It felt like confirmation of every doubt he had ever tried to ignore. But Ethan didn't stop. He tried again, and again, and again. Each attempt ended the same way, with rejection, disappointment, and silence. People began to notice his repeated failures, and not in a supportive way. They laughed. They mocked him. Some even told him to stop trying, to be realistic. Even those closest to him started to doubt him. The more he tried, the more it seemed like the world was pushing him back to where it believed he belonged. Nights became his worst enemy. Lying awake, staring at the ceiling, his thoughts turned against him. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not meant for anything more," he whispered, the weight of those words pressing heavily on his chest. Then came the moment that almost broke him completely. After losing the last small job he had, Ethan found himself with nothing left. No money, no opportunities, and no energy to keep pretending everything would be okay. He sat alone on a cold sidewalk, watching the world move on without him. Cars passed. People laughed. Life continued as if his struggle didn't matter. For the first time, he truly considered giving up. Not just on his dreams, but on everything. The fight inside him felt like it was fading. "What's the point?" he asked himself, his voice barely audible. In that moment, Ethan wasn't strong. He wasn't determined. He was simply exhausted. But sometimes, the darkest moments reveal something deeper. As he sat there, a memory surfaced, his mother's voice, tired but firm, telling him, "No matter how hard it gets, don't let life win." Those words hit him differently this time. Slowly, he stood up, his body weak, but his mind beginning to shift. Something inside him refused to accept defeat. "I will not quit," he said quietly at first, then louder. "I will not quit." It wasn't a declaration to the world. It was a promise to himself. And that promise became the turning point. His situation didn't change overnight, but his mindset did. And that was where everything began. From that day forward, Ethan approached life differently. He stopped focusing on immediate results and started focusing on growth. He worked harder, learned smarter, and embraced failure as part of the process. Every rejection became a lesson instead of a setback. Every small win became fuel to keep going. It wasn't easy. There were still days when he felt like giving up, nights when doubt tried to creep back in. But this time, he didn't listen. He kept moving forward, one step at a time, even when progress felt invisible. Slowly, things began to change. Opportunities that once seemed impossible started to appear. Months turned into years, and Ethan was no longer the same boy who stood outside looking in. He had grown, mentally, emotionally, and skillfully. His persistence began to attract attention. People started to notice his work ethic, his determination, and his refusal to give up. One day, he was given a chance, an opportunity to prove himself in a real way. This time, he was ready. He stepped into the room not as someone hoping to be accepted, but as someone who had earned the right to be there. And when he spoke, people listened. Not because he was perfect, but because his journey had made him powerful. That moment became his breakthrough. The doors that once closed on him began to open. His life started to change in ways he once only imagined. The boy who struggled to survive was now building something meaningful. The same people who doubted him now respected him. But success didn't erase his past. It gave it purpose. Every struggle, every rejection, every sleepless night had shaped him into the person he became. And through it all, one thing remained constant. He never quit. So if you're watching this right now, feeling like life is too hard, like your efforts don't matter, like giving up might be easier, remember this story. Remember that success is not reserved for the lucky or the talented. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. Your situation does not define your future. Your persistence does. And if this story inspired you in any way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the decision to keep going.